They are still holding on to certain opinions so strongly that they grew in or that they inherited from their background, which never helped anybody's back to be off the ground. But they are still holding to that opinion, holding certain belief that is common in their beliefs, in their communities, holding on to certain beliefs or ways of doing things that is common in their society or in their communities. The same thing, you have seen many people and those things never help them. But you can see young people in their own time and generation holding on to those things. It's an indication such a person might have gone to school, gone through the 4 walls of classroom in conventional schools, but when you hold on to certain opinions that does not help life to be progressive, you are unenlightened. You are unenlightened. An enlightened mind researches facts, cross-fertilizes ideas with other minds, brainstorm, interact with other people. The first service here, Pastor Jeff, about that. And from other people. But when you hold on to particular opinion, certain way things have been done, you don't want to learn anything new, it's an indication that such a person have an unenlightened mind. It's nothing to do with the degrees. It's quick to drag prejudice and unfairness in favor of what will make him comely, welcoming, and also make his community tolerable, habitable, and livable for all people. That is one of the problems we have in our society. That's one of the reasons why, it's so difficult to change many things. Because we have quite a lot of unenlightened mind. And it's unfortunate. Societies of the unenlightened and uneducated don't open to changes. Don't open to new things. Don't open to learn new things. They just believe this is the way it has always been done, and this is the way it will be done. But societies of enlightened and educated people are open. They are open societies that welcome people and are hospitable. Whereas societies of unenlightened people are dark societies. Development will be far from such places. You will hardly see changes. Travel and return back 5 years' time, 10 years' time, you will hardly see much changes in such society. Nothing improves. The same old buildings, old way of doing things, old way of dressing, old faces. Everything will just be old. Because they are unreachable, closed, not welcoming, unchangeable. Now, look, for example, some of the things you will hear in a society of people that doesn't have light in their mind. A mind that's not enlightened will say something like, Igbos are thieves. They say something like, Igbos are fraudsters. They will say Fulanis are killers. They will say, Yorubans are ritualists. Some of you have had statements like that before. And some of you believe those statements. Some of you hold on to some of those statements. Those are statements of unenlightened mind. Wait a minute. If you're educated and you're enlightened, and you believe in fact, you believe in veracity, you will know that those kind of statements are far away from truth. They can't be true. How can you say, let's assume, yes, you met one Igbo man, he duped you. So how will you say Igbos are fraudsters? All the Igbos. You are only prejudiced. You use of to judge a whole set of people. How can you say Yorubas are ritualists? Have you met all Yorubas? How can you say Hausas are killers? It's part of the prejudice we have in our nation. Do you know we have so many Hausas who are so Christians? So many of them. From Sokoto to Bauchi, to Kaduna to Benue. So many of them who are Christians serving the Lord. So it's prejudice. So when you say an Hausa man, or you label him Fulani Hasme, or you label him Boko Haram, it's the problem we have in our society. The same way, those of you that are from the Igbo that are from Igbo descendants will look at Yoruba man and want to label him someone or some way. Yoruba man will look, the Hausas want to label him some way. I know. That's why our society is the way it is today. And let me tell you one thing. The politicians are smart. They use what we call divide and rule. They know that the only way to get through people and subdue them is to project what divides them more. So they can be busy fighting themselves. And they will never have time one day to ask them a question. You can imagine one man in Aba will tell you that his problem is a Yoruba man or an Hausa man. But he will not one day ask his governor, Mr. Governor, how are you spending the money of our state that you have been collecting all this while? And yet there's no good road in our state. And governor will say, oh, you know the president is a Fulani man. I say, yes. He's a Fulani man. That's why there's no road in all the streets of Aba. But is that true? Yet every month, your governors are collecting allocations. Your local government chairmen are collecting allocations. But because people's minds are not enlightened, that's why you see when politics come now, look at all the people that will carry stick and other things and rush on the unenlightened mind. The man that will tell you to go and kill somebody, his children are abroad. His children are in school. But if you give him 1,000 or 2,000 naira and tell you to go and kill someone or get killed, and all an enlightened mind, we say, yeah, they will go. Count how many during the last election, 2019, right? That was the last election, 2019. Now, ask yourself, how many politicians' children died? None. Not a single one. Among all the untold number of people that died. And yet, some are still rubbing up now to go die. For one politician or the other. Unenlightened mind. Enlightened mind controls the unenlightened mind. If you have not met all the Igbos, and all Igbos have not scammed you before, so how can you then say Igbos are scammers? It takes an unenlightened and a dark mind to accept that prejudice. If you have not met all the Yorubas, so how do you accept that statement that Yorubas are ritualists? If you have not met all Hausas, so how do you accept that it is true? That is true. That Hausas are killers. It takes an unenlightened mind, a dark mind, to believe or accept those prejudices. The more enlightened your mind is, the more you give way for light. The more you give way for knowledge, insight, understanding, and then advanced awareness about life, about situation, about people, and every other thing in life. The way you see life will change. Your perspective of life will change. The way you talk will be different. The way you interact with people will be different. The way you relate with people of different tribes and races and nations will be different. Because you have a broad mind, an enlightened mind. A mind has received light. A mind whose eyes are wide open. With an enlightened mind, you are considerate, you are kind, you are thoughtful, you are accepting, you are friendly, and you become progressive. Without all of these values, you are unenlightened. When a man is close, just shows he's not enlightened. When a man energizes people in his tribe, he shows he's unenlightened. When a man sounds too tribalistic, he's an unenlightened person. That's what lack of enlightenment does. It blindfolds. So he thought that way, you're unenlightened, you are blind in the mind. Even if you have been to all the schools in the world. Because we're talking about the function of the mind. Must learn and be versed in the word of God, which renews the mind. Romans 12 verse 2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that you can change the way you see things in life and it will change the way you live your life. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is his life. The word of God has to activate the eyes of your mind. That is the eyes of your understanding. It has to activate it. And you must learn that way if you must go beyond your current level. Listen to me. Nothing takes you or takes a man beyond the level where he is, like him having a different picture. Until you have a different picture, you can't go beyond your current level. Because what you cannot see, you cannot receive. Where you cannot see, you cannot access. Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 11 and 12. Look at what God asked Jeremiah. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? What do you see? And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. I see fruitfulness. I see flourishing. I see a rod full of fruits. Then said the Lord unto me, thou hast seen well, and I will hasten my word to perform it. What is what God gives. Say, the way I'm seeing it, I don't think it will work. Then it will not work. When you say, I see it work, I see it working out for me. It's falling onto me in place and places. It will begin to see it work out for you like that. If you find it difficult to see, to comprehend, it will be difficult for you to experience it. Until the eyes of Abraham, until the eyes of his mind was open to see what others cannot see, to see what God was seeing, did not bring him into the promise. What was God's plan? To give Abraham, to give him a promised child, to give him Isaac. But see, I'm going to read that passage for you. Up until that time, Abraham was seeing childlessness. Genesis 2, verses 2, 5, and 6. Verse 2, precisely. Abraham said to God, and Abraham said, Lord God, what will thou give me? What will you give me? Hear me? What you can't see, God will not give. What will you give me? Seeing I go childless. And the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus. Is he the one that's going to inherit everything I have? See, I go childless. What will you give me? God will give you what you see. God will give you what you see. That's why I asked Jeremiah, what do you see? What do you see? Jeremiah said, I see a rod full of. Well, I will waste my word to perform it. Look at verse 5 of that Genesis 15. And he, that's God. Now God brought him forth abroad. God brought him forth abroad, out from under his tent, and said to him, look now toward heaven. Lift your eyes to the heaven, and tell me the number of the stars, if thou be able to number them. Look at the man that was still seeing childless. He was seeing that he was ever one child. Lord, what I'm seeing is that you have left me like this, no time. But God said, come, look into the sky. Number the stars. Can you number them? And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. If you can see the stars, number, picture the stars, that these are my children. God says, so shall your children be. What was God doing? God was doing what I call optical surgery on him. God was operating on his eyes. He was having a wrong sight before. He was staying long under his tent and was seeing childlessness. But God said, now come outside from under the tent. Look into the sky. So shall thy seed be. And verse 6 says, and he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. When God showed him the stars, he believed it. How did he believe it? In his mind, he began to see what God showed him. He began to picture it. He did not only see the stars with his physical eyes. He saw the stars as his children with the picture of his mind. That is imagination. So what he saw physically became an image in his mind. Through the eyes of his mind, he began to see those stars as his children. Until you know how to activate your imagination, there's not too far that you can go in life. Because what you cannot see, God will not give. I said before you an open door, and no man shall shut. So if before you all you are seeing is 20 years you'll be praying for Lord, open the door. And God said, I've said before you an open door. I've said before you an open door. Sometimes you approach a door and then are resisted. Not because the door has not been opened, probably because you are not yet ready. Because God settled it. I said not a closed door, but what? An open door. And every time you approach a door in your life that will go to another level, in your mind, be seeing an open door. You must be looking at an open door. In mind, they see an open door. You see, sometimes you approach a door, you are crying, you are saying, oh Lord, open the door. Instead of you to be thanking God for the open door. They are not the same. They are not the same. First to be thanking God for an open door. Father, thank you for the door you have opened before me. Thank you for the job of this and that. But because in your mind you are seeing a closed door, you are busy fasting and praying and crying and asking God, what manner of life is this? Whereas he said, behold, behold means what? Look and see. It means the door can be of you and you're not seeing it. That's why God says, behold, behold. Because it is beholding that leads to becoming. It is beholding that leads to becoming. And it cannot lead to becoming until there's a believing. So when God says, behold, then you must believe before you can become. Behold, I said before you an open door. What you do is what shows if you in what you are beholding. That's why God said to Abraham, behold the stars. Such shall be the children. What was next Abraham did? What did Abraham do? What did Abraham do? Well, he did it. Abraham believed. After you behold, you believe. After Abraham believed, what happened? He became the father of many nations. You behold, you believe, you become, you behold. With the eyes of your mind, hear me. The things that change a man are not physical. They are not physical. They are not on the surface. They are deep. They are secret things that must be found out. That's why you can be looking at something you cannot see. Have you heard that statement before? The more you look, the less you see. I don't know if you have heard that statement before. Seeing that is being referred to is not seeing with your eyes, it's seeing with your mind. It is understanding. You are looking and seeing, but you don't understand what you are seeing. You don't understand with your physical eyes, you understand with the eyes of your mind. You look, you see, you know what to do. But when God says, behold, I set before you an open door. It is opportunity as difficulty. And they walked away. The wise man said this. I took time to think about it. Imagine you were Joseph. Listen to me. You were Joseph, sold into slavery to Egypt, and then sold unto Potiphar as a slave. And then, oh, it's like life was getting better. At least now you can wear some nice clothes. Then suddenly he was lied against and now imprisoned. And then in prison, somebody came to break you out, to take you back to Jacob, your father's house, Jacob. Who to share testimony? Hello? Hello? Did you get my what I'm explaining? Imagine you are Joseph and somebody broke you out of prison and took you back to your father's house. That is Jacob's house. You to share testimony and say, thank God. They won't kill me for this prison. Have just succeeded in terminating the plan and the purpose of God upon your life. It looks like deliverance from prison, freedom from prison, but that prison is the pathway to the palace. It looks like a difficulty, but that is where the opportunity into the palace has been prepared. Am I making sense to you? Am I making sense to you? That's why you must not see with your eyes only. See with the eyes of your mind. Behind everything you see, there is an unseen script, which is one. That's why the Bible says all to work together for to them that love God, who are the call according to his purpose. Do you know the question I always ask? Find myself in any quote and unquote any situation, Lord, what is your purpose in the midst of this? Because I want to know, does God have a purpose in it? You might, because you might be somewhere they are complaining. Maybe they set you out of work, sack you from the job, and you are there feeling bad, frustrated, you angry at God, angry at your family, angry at everybody, angry at the country. What? Like I saw a man one day, he was cursing all manner of, curses that he can find in his mouth on the nation and anybody he can, using a word to describe his country. But I don't know that in the midst of that black man's sack, there might be an open door that God wants to set him up, become a company owner. But he's so blind in his mind, and so he became so frustrated, angry at everybody, and he could not see anything ahead of him. All he's saying is difficult. And he's not seeing opportunity in the midst of that. That is the story of some people in our nation today. And that is the problem of so many people who are so frustrated today. Hear me what I want to say. Frustration